everybody, welcome to the Strict Strength 2-week splits challenge. I'm Joanna and I will be leading you through your first few days of flexibility training. Now, we definitely recommend that you perform these stretches after a workout, some sort of activity. If you're stretching just kind of one off on the side, we recommend that you perform the warm-up we've included in the description box below. It's very minor, very short, just some way to get some blood flow to your muscles. Your muscles respond best when they are warm. Now, do yourself a favor if you have a moment and take a before photo of your splits. Right split, center, and left. After the 2 weeks, if you plan on sticking with us and staying consistent, after your last day of stretching, we want you to do the same thing so that you can compare results. So often we make progress and we don't see it, so we really want you to be able to see the results of your hard work over the next few weeks. I recommend just putting your phone on video, pop into your splits, hit all your positions, and then screenshot those and save them for the end of the 2 weeks. Really easy that way. So without further ado, let's get started to day 1 of our splits challenge. All right, we're gonna start today in just a forward fold. So feet are flat, about hip distance apart. Just hinge over and see how far you can touch your hands to the ground. You might be on fingertips, you might have flat hands, you might be able to grab yourself all the way in, or you might need the assistance of yoga blocks or dumbbells. Any place is fine. I want you to get relatively comfortable down here. And we're just gonna start to open up those hamstrings before we go into our lunge series. I like to sway slightly side to side. That gets every angle of your hamstring, especially up at the attachment. And then we're gonna take some bend and stretches through the knees. So bend and stretch. Every time trying to get your chest just a little bit closer to your thighs. You can always use the assistance too of your hands behind your legs, especially as you pull yourself in. Pull a little closer. We're trying to think of the hamstrings almost like, okay, what was that stuff you played with as a kid? Not Laffy Taffy, Play-Doh? Silly putty. That's kind of stiff until you warm it up, work it out. So I think of muscles as being kind of similar. The more you kind of mold it and get it moving, the looser and warmer and more pliable it gets. So little static stretch here, just hold for a moment. Big deep breath in. And exhale it out. So we're gonna walk our hands forward. You're gonna take your first leg up and forward to a lunge position. Just classic lunge here. Press your hips forward, getting a little bit of hip flexor stretch. So in our splits, we want to primarily target the hamstrings, hip flexors, quads, psoas, everything relating to the front of that back leg. So take a moment here, pause, press the hips down. Take a second there, and then we're gonna lower the knee all the way to the ground and uncurl the toes. Now, same hand as leg, you're gonna reach for your foot. This is uncomfortable on your knee. Make sure you have a little pad or a mat or something under there to stay squishy. We want to keep the shoulders relatively square here. So whatever your front leg is, try to attach that same side shoulder. Square off your shoulders, and that keeps your hips square as well. Then crank a little bit with your hand. Press your hips a little farther forward in. Ooh, almost fell over. Very intense stretch here. I'm very quad dominant, so front of the body for me is the tightest position. My quads are always angry and tight a little bit. So I like to spend just a little extra moment here. You might go very flexible here for your body, that's fine. And then we'll loosen and press back up and into that lunge. See if you can maybe get your hips a little farther and closer to the mat. A little open and close here, we're just testing, not a big long static stretch. Then go ahead and drop your knee, uncurl your toes, and press your hips back. We're going into our first reverse lunge here. This will target the hamstrings. Be careful that you don't sit into a very open hip position here. So square off, and then lower your chest to the ground. I would rather you push your chest forward instead of arching and rounding. A flat back is really targeting the upper hamstring. Awesome stretch that way. Reach your hands as far forward as they will let you go, and then drop your chin to your chest. Nice long static stretch here. Breathing is super important. If you can be so sensitive to your body in stretches, so sensitive that with every exhale you're feeling and imagining maybe those muscle fibers just opening little by little. If you're really aware of that feeling, you can sense it happening in your muscles. It's like the best feeling ever. A little bit of release there. We're gonna come back to our lunge just briefly and then pull your back foot, or your front foot, across your mat. Now, if in the perfect world, we would have a straight parallel back knee and our front shin would be really in a straight line to the front. However, most people's hips aren't built like that. Try to definitely keep that little bit of turn in your back leg, but I allow just a little bit of that front foot to come forward. That enables me to push my hips down. I like hands to the front leg first. Give yourself a moment to tuck your hips under and then settle your pelvis down. This will direct the stretch a little higher into your psoas and your abs, which does all connect down into that hip flexor and quad. Small arch back. And then we're gonna dive forward. This is probably what everybody knows most commonly as a pigeon stretch. Down to your forearms, or if you're super open in your hips, all the way forward. I am still sore from heavy barbell hip thrusts 2 days ago. Second day soreness, man. I love it. Come all the way down. See how deeply you can relax into that front glute. That's just helpful. And then come all the way up. So pushing back, you want to just rearrange that front leg. One more little visit in your reverse lunge, maybe to flex and point to mobilize your ankle. And then we're gonna pop into our splits. So sliding down, you can tuck your back toe, just to make sure you stay really parallel. And away we go. Staying as square and as possible. I like to take my sweet time coming down, kind of feeling some different positions. Opening, twisting close, maybe flexing your front foot, really working that stretch. So keep your toes tucked as long as you can. Once that gets kind of uncomfortable on your foot, you can uncurl it. Just make sure you're staying pretty square in your hip as much as you can here. Then the next level is to really tuck under and try to get up and onto that pelvis. Hold here, take some nice deep breaths. I like to engage into my front quad too, so that it's not kind of a sloppy, relaxed split. You're really pushing down into the floor. Open it out, and we'll take the other side. Woo, loosen up those hips a little bit. So I'm gonna continue to face the same side. We'll have our left leg come forward this time, through to that runner's lunge. So hands down, back toe tucks. Nice, a lot of stretch in that front of the back leg. Tuck my cord in back here. And same focus, deep breaths. Inhale, exhale. On your exhale, try to allow your hips to sink a little bit closer to the floor. Little movement here if that feels good. And then we'll come down, drop that knee, uncurl the toes. Other side, you're grabbing your foot with your hand. And if that just doesn't ever feel like a good position, you can just press forward into your lunge. There are other ways to stretch the quads that we'll hit probably over the next week or two. If you can get forward enough onto your knee, probably any knee pain that you're feeling will go away. But if you're back here for too long, that's cranky in the kneecap. So make sure you're trying to press your hips forward. And if you can't find a comfortable position, then just press your hips forward and release your leg. Just hold into your lunge position. Square hips, square shoulders, tucked a little bit, heel to the glute, and we're holding, breathing through that quad. All right, re-stretch. We're going into our reverse lunge on that other leg. Hips back, square shoulders, square hips, flat back, as flat as you can. Start to walk your hands to the front. This is where we want to feel all the nice Zen thoughts. Deep breaths. Relax. If you can drop your head, even better. Try not to let the hips open. Oh, my hip popped. That's wonderful. Try to walk your hands a little farther forward. You always want to be on that edge of, oh my gosh, this feels amazing, and like, it kind of doesn't feel that great. You never want it to hurt, but it should feel slightly wonderful and slightly awful at the same time. That's your ideal stretch position. We'll press through to our lunge just one more time. Retuck that toe. See if your hips are a little closer. Push, push, push. And then we'll go into our pigeon stretch on the other side. So bringing that front leg forward, turning in your back leg as much as possible. Now, if I have that completely parallel front leg, I can't get my hip down. And that's fine. Maybe this is a better stretch for you. I would take a yoga block or a little ball and put it under my hip so I can set my weight there. Otherwise, I'm gonna make that small adjustment that allows me to bring my hips down. Hands to the front leg, lift up and out, tuck your hips under, and give me that small arch. The more you relax your abs, not necessarily stick your stomach out, but feel like your abdomen is sort of spreading apart. If you can get that little abdominal slash psoas stretch, it's good. Press it back, and then when you're ready, coming down to the elbows. Oh, this butt cheek is even tighter. I'm losing my angle here. I find it's hard to release in my glutes, so it takes a little bit of focus. Drop your chin, close your eyes, let your body feel heavy. Try not to think about anything other than the way that this stretch feels and the way that you're breathing. And then we're going to revisit that reverse lunge before we go into our other side split. So come all the way up, press that foot back in front of you, and then back to your reverse lunge. One more little stretch through those hammies. Ooh, I'm a lot farther. And then out we go. Tuck your back toe. And stretchy, stretchy, stretchy. Again, optimal split position is super square. Otherwise, those hips rotate. I thought for the longest time, I was like, oh yeah, I totally have my splits, but my back leg is so rotated that it doesn't count. So rotate that leg in. Toes tucked brings your back leg up a little higher if you notice. So it's fine if you uncurl your toes, just make sure you're keeping the integrity through that back hip as square as possible. I'm taking my sweet time here. Just sink a little bit lower. Made it. Now, I think incentive for getting your splits, there's some incentive to not holding yourself up. So if you're not in your splits yet, it's kind of a lot of work if you're up here the whole time. It's like planking and splitting at the same time. So the sooner you can get down, take some weight off of your hands, it's just better for everybody. So that's a good incentive to getting those splits too, among others, of course. All right, shake those hips out. Now we will be focusing a little bit on strata later, but for today, that's pretty much our main meat of our stretch. Give me a little butterfly position, soles of the feet together, just to open those hips a little bit more. But that's that. I hope you enjoyed day one. We're gonna build a little bit off of each day. You'll see some similar stretches and some new stretches. Enough consistency so that you can see and feel your progress, and enough new things to keep you interested. So thanks for being here. We will see you tomorrow for day